Can't Take the Heat. Written by Dragon Lingdar. Read by Arashi. Claude, you know my taste is subpar, Dimitri said as Claude placed a covered dish in front of him. Not that I am ungrateful that you went out of your way to recreate a dish from Almyra, even going so far as to bring the correct cuts of meat, vegetables, and spices to do so. I know you can't taste flavors, Claude agreed and removed the cover. It was a meat dish simmered in a red sauce, with some kind of peeled grain and unfamiliar vegetables, but it smelled wonderful. A bit savory, a bit sweet, with the meat's natural flavor clearly seeping through and thoroughly incorporated into the dish. But you can smell it at least, right? It is not a sense that I have lost, true, Dimitri affirmed. It looks delicious and smells divine. I wish I could. I know, and I appreciate the sentiment, but don't feel bad, Claude said. This is a bit of an experiment, you know? An experiment? Dimitri repeated as Claude wiped the interior of the cover free of moisture before setting it on the table. Yes, Claude said, and don't worry, if you don't like it, don't feel required to eat it. This is one of my favorite dishes, so I'll happily consume it to completion. Dimitri choked on spit and Claude snickered uncharitably as he lightly pounded on Dimitri's back. That was cruel, Claude. I have no idea what you're implying, Claude responded, his tone all innocent while his eyes danced wickedly. Of course you don't, Dimitri huffed. Very well. Should I be concerned if this is an experiment? Oh, it's nothing that's potentially harmful. I did say I'd finish eating it if you can't. Or, well, it shouldn't be harmful. You're not allergic to anything, are you, your kingliness? Claude, Dimitri sighed. And no, I am not. There you go, then, Claude said, and nudged the plate towards Dimitri. Go ahead. I practiced until the chefs and the pigeon cows ran me out, so it should be fairly close to how it should actually taste. So there is no prank or trick. Dimitri, you know I love you. Would I do something like that? Yes. Fair. No tricks. It is as accurate a reproduction of my favorite Almyran meal as I could make. Please, try it. We rarely see each other, Claude said. He threw in puppy dog eyes for added effect, and Dimitri sighed. No need to look at me like that, Dimitri said, and picked up a fork. He speared a piece of meat and some vegetables, then used a knife to guide some of the grain before taking a bite with a show of confidence. This is quite good, Dimitri said after swallowing the bite. However, as he went to take another, his pale skin slowly began to turn bright red, and Dimitri quickly pulled a glass of water — he didn't drink unless he was at state functions — to him and downed it, only to look increasingly distressed. No, for spice, drink milk, Claude said, and poured a glass for the now sweating King of Fargus, who drank it immediately after taking it from Claude's hand. Claude wasn't sure if it was polite to laugh at the king of an allied nation, but how red his face was and how he was chugging milk was weirdly endearing. I suppose it's a tad too spicy, Claude offered, barely keeping himself from biting his lip to prevent giggles. He had tamed the spice level down significantly, and Dimitri looked like he was post-workout from how much his skin glistened with sweat. I thought you wouldn't be able to taste heat, but I suppose those are different things. Perhaps, Dimitri said, waving his hand at his face in a desperate attempt to cool himself off, panting slightly. This is unusual. Well, I guess I'll have to modify traditional Almyran food to fit your more delicate palate. Claude couldn't resist teasing. Delicate? Dimitri started before he blinked, realizing that Claude was ribbing him. Is all Almyran food this spicy? No, Claude said. Dimitri sighed in relief. Most of it's spicier. Claude couldn't keep back a snicker as he leaned down to press a quick kiss to Dimitri's head. I told you I'll turn it down for you, didn't I? Yes, Dimitri almost pouted as he pushed the fragrant food around on his plate. I simply feel awful that I am apparently unable to eat something you've prepared as it is meant to be eaten. 5 different innuendos ran through Claude's head at that, but Dimitri's expression and demeanor said now probably wouldn't be the best time to flirt. Look, you've tried new food from a foreign country, Claude said. It's okay if you don't like it. I'm not insulted. It took me a bit of time to get used to the different way Foldlanese people season their food, particularly given on how much they rely on magic to achieve certain flavors and whatnot. Almyra does not have magic to the same extent Fodlan does? Dimitri asked, still looking rather mournfully at the food. It was clear his manners had him feeling compelled to at least attempt to finish the dish. but how his lips were still slightly swollen and his face flushed said that another attempt at consuming the food was inadvisable. "No, we don't," Claude confirmed. "Oh, I remember the kitchen used quite a bit of magic in seasoning and preserving," Dimitri said, "and that most of the food was flavorful because of that. Perhaps you could introduce Almiran methods to my people." "Oh?" "Sylvain once mentioned that kingdom food is unusually bland," Dimitri admitted. "If Almira does not have the same level of magic, then perhaps we could introduce and incorporate some Almiran techniques, so even those without access to or knowledge of magic would be able to enjoy more flavorful dishes. I think it would be a boon for my people." "Sure," Claude said. "I'm not giving you my grandma's secret recipes or whatever, but I'm sure I can send you descriptions of the techniques my chefs in the surrounding city use to keep their food fresh and flavorful." "Thank you, my dear," Dimitri said, his discomfort seeming to have subsided somewhat. "Of course," Claude said. "You've given Almiran merchants access to a whole new market with your request. They'll be thrilled. And you will be giving my people something even better than money," Dimitri said with a smile. "Something new, something bright and warm to keep them fired up through the cold winter nights." "Fired up, huh?" Claude said, and picked up the napkin that rested on the table to dab away a spot of sauce that lingered on Dimitri's cheek, now visible that his blush had passed. "This dish isn't normally considered an aphrodisiac, you know." Dimitri's lips quirked into a small smirk, and Claude's heart thrilled at the very different kind of heat in the Tempest King's eyes as he said, "Well, it certainly seems to me that Almirans like spice in their food as much as in their bedrooms." Claude smirked in return.